iPhone versus Galaxy versus the Pixel in 2025. Which one is the best? Let's find out. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and let's just get this video started off right away with pricing. My aim of this video is to help you guys decide which is going to be the best for you this year, but starting out right away with pricing, I will say I'm going to give this one to the Samsung Galaxy, not because it's the cheapest, it's actually the highest price of these three right here. But usually most people are going to take advantage of Samsung's instant trade-in deals. Also, they do have heavier promotions throughout the year, and they often discount them through carriers and things of that sort. I just seem to find more deals on Samsung phones throughout the years than most of these other two. So even though it seems to retail the highest and is the king of like performance and a lot of things here, I got this the cheapest of the three. So definitely the Galaxy is going to be the cheapest phone here to buy, usually if you take advantage of the trade-in deal. So it is contingent on that for that. Now the lowest price retail is going to be the Pixel 9 Pro XL. This one is the cheapest of the three, and it also has the slowest processor of the three. So definitely, if you want to pay, if you're going to pay full price or over a long-term contract or something of that sort, you'll likely pay the least for the Google Pixel. And you can also get something like a Pixel 9a if you want that cheaper. You can get cheaper Samsungs and cheaper iPhones as well, if that's something you want to do. And then for the highest price that you actually will pay, it's usually going to be the iPhone. Even though it doesn't retail at the highest, you don't ever get deals really. You can trade in your old iPhones, but there's no like promotions or deals usually that they throw on these top of the line Pro iPhones. They tend to hold that high price throughout the year, but it also benefits you in the long term, and I would pick it if you plan on reselling it later, because the iPhone usually nets you a fast sale and also does get you a lot of money back here, and that still holds true here in 2025. Now from a design perspective, of course it's very subjective here, but I personally feel that the iPhone has one of the best designs here, mostly because of the curved edges. I am talking about this versus the Ultra and the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but if I was to have the S25 Plus here, it would be a different topic. I like the curved edges with the super thin bezels. It's just something I really like. I don't like the dynamic island, and the back is kind of getting old, but it's that front screen that is pretty impressive to me with those razor thin bezels around the edges. So I definitely do like that. It also feels very comfortable in the hand with the smooth glass that spills over the edge. You don't really feel any sharpness at these corners. It's underappreciated feature of the iPhone experience, and that's across the 16 lineup except for the 16e. Now I like Samsung's more unique shape. For a lot of people it's definitely looks different. To me it looks kind of anti-iPhone, which is pretty neat, you know, but it's definitely not as angular or as iconic looking as the S24 Ultra of last year. At the same time, I do like that they have their own staple looking design, their own special look. Most phones are not looking rectangular, so the Samsung holds that. I also think Samsung does a better job with making the phone thin and light here. It feels like easier to hold in terms of like the weight than the iPhone over there. They also have a much better punch hole display. And overall, it's definitely neck and neck there with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. There just really isn't much in it besides, do you like the curved edges or do you like the rectangular look of the Samsung? I will say though that the Pixel is also quite nice. It does have a less aspect ratio. It's like 20. It's just a little bit narrower this way than the iPhone, but at the same time, it kind of has those smooth edges like the iPhone over here. It is slightly more like less smooth in the corners, I feel like, but it's almost nothing. They also have that shinier look, which to me looks a little bit older because a lot of phones now are going for that matte look. Maybe we're going to see the shiny look come back, but right now, this one the shiny look just kind of looks like a few years ago. Like most phones used to look like that. The camera bar is also very nice. I love the camera bar on the Pixel. It just kind of gives it a very unique, its own design trait, which I really like. And going away from that is something I'm not going to like if they get rid of the camera bar. Just because it just looks super Pixel. Some people might want it a little bit flatter though, like something like they put on the 9a. But overall, all these phones' designs are top of the line, and they all feel like $1 million in your hand. They really do. So you can't really go wrong with either any of them in 2025 here. When it comes to display, I would pick the iPhone if you're looking for the best color reproduction without having to do anything. So if you want really good color without having to have it like oversaturated, you don't want to like tweak any settings, you don't really have to besides something like True Tone. The iPhone just has a really good color reproduction, saturation. It's just a great overall display that you just pick up and go. You don't got to do anything to it, which I really quite like. It does have more glare though than the Samsung. The Samsung is a much better display for anti-glare properties, anti-reflective properties. It just looks much better on the angles. In addition, I do find the Samsung phone to feel smoother with a more consistent 120 hertz refresh. In addition, if I scroll down, the screen modes are just give it a little bit more pizzazz, if you will, just giving you more vivid tones. You could change those different colors in there. Also, you have higher resolutions. It's just more vibrant and colorful, and also less reflective. So to me, that really puts the Samsung really at the top here of display. But the Pixel has really high pixel density, funny enough, which means the phone is just very, very sharp. You know, it has very sharp text. So when you're reading the phone itself, the text appears incredibly sharp. It's way over 500 pixels per inch, which gives this thing, in layman's terms, very sharp text. Also, this phone is the brightest outdoors. Pixels used to be some of the weakest with brightness, but now at 3000 nits outdoors, that just translates to extraordinarily bright display outdoors. All three can hit those high brightness levels outdoors, so you can see them in direct sunlight pretty well. But the Samsung is the one that has an extra brightness mode toggle. So if I go on display and I go to extra brightness, I love that I can take full advantage of the brightness whenever. This is one of the only phones here that you can go ahead and pull out that full brightness without actually having to get triggered by the sunlight. Whereas these two, you'll definitely have to, on the right and left, iPhone and Pixel, you'll have to get them in the light on the sensors up there on the top to get the highest brightness. So if I had to pick one for display, I'm probably going Samsung number 1, iPhone number 2, Pixel number 3, all of them being very, very phenomenal panels though. So when it comes to software, I think the Pixel has the cleanest software out of all of these. It's so simple. You just have an app drawer right there, and then you scroll down. It's alphabetically, so it's so easy to navigate. And then you just have these big buttons at the top to change your controls. The settings are in black and white, basically, so it's super easy to see things, not get overwhelmed with colors. To me, it's the most minimal and clean aesthetic here of all three software. Although it's been around for a while, so I wish they would change it up a little bit in terms of the look, while still keeping that minimal and clean aesthetic. Also, it does have the best Google experience, obviously, best, fastest Google apps, best Google everything. So if you're in that ecosystem, that's going to be the best option there for that. I think that the iPhone has the most polished applications of the three here in 2025. Most developers are still updating these so regularly, even more so I find than on the Android devices. Although the mainstream apps, your top of the line apps, are getting updated very regularly, even on Android, obviously. So it's not those. But you do find just really good polish, very consistent software updates. And overall, I just find iOS to still be a great ecosystem that matches up beautifully with the Mac computers as well as iPads and Apple Watches. It's just such a great ecosystem of products. That's what really holds me to that still. And also iMessage and FaceTime are strong contenders for some of the best communication apps in the world. Now, if we go over here down onto the Samsung is the best tool of the three. It has the best split screening, multitasking. Why do you got two calculators? Because sometimes I'm calculating like an accountant over here, so I need two calculators. Don't judge me. We go over here and we scroll down into Play Store. You can go ahead and be doing that. You can go over here and pull in an application down here. Maybe I'm downloading an app, but I need to know what the weather is at the moment. You know, you can just do a lot. You also have the S Pen, which is something you don't find on most Android phones. I think the Moto G Stylus 2025 has a pen, but it's not an S Pen. Doesn't have quite the polish of that. In addition, this phone does have tons of features. So if you want a phone that's not boring to use, a lot of fun, but also super fast, this is the one. This is the one that will entertain you right here, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. It also does have pretty much all of the goodies that you would find on a top flagship anyway. So you get not only the fun and the customization, but there is a caveat. Because Samsung has so many different phones, the updates are super fragmented, and it was very apparent here this year with One UI 7. And while some people argue, well, Nick, bro, you want them to bring it out super stable, which they did, but at the same time, that update was very, very late. In addition, then when it did come out, there was a bug that they had to pause it again. So to me, of the three, Samsung has the fastest updates when you're actually updating the phone, like to restart the phone. Pixel's the slowest there, but it lets you use the phone in the background. The iPhone gets them more regularly, but seems to gets more bugs more frequently, I feel like. So the iPhone needs the updates more, but the Samsung has the worst update experience, I think, of the three in terms of the speed of which they come in. Like you'll get Android 16 first over here versus the Samsung, and you'll get iOS 19 here before you'll get One UI 8 over here. So that's still the Achilles heel to me of Samsung. While they are better than most other Android manufacturers besides Pixel, they still need to do work in that area. Let me know if you agree down below. Now, when it comes to performance, we've been doing a lot of speed tests, and clearly nobody has taken down the Samsung, although I haven't took on some gaming phones. Those are just not popular devices. They're pretty niche, so I don't really have interest in covering phones that aren't going to reach many, or who people are just not going to buy them. Like, what's the point? Nobody wants to buy them. But some of those niche gaming phones, like a ROG device, will probably beat this. Maybe one of those, ones with the LED lights on the back. You know what I'm talking about. Them gaming phones might take this down. But in terms of the overall speed, this one has this really crazy fast animation. In addition to that, it's smooth at the same time while being quick. 120 Hz seems to scroll incredibly fast through your day-to-day operations. In addition to that, you do have the fastest benchmarks and some of the best cooling on the market here. Even though this phone is super thin and light, it doesn't get too hot. This phone is amazing when it comes to performance. It's the king of the three here, I would say. iPhone still does amazing in terms of single-core daily performance, casual use. I have found a couple of weird crashes that have occurred on this iPhone 16 Pro Max since buying it. And it's no longer standing head and toes above the competition as the top of the pack in terms of performance. They were doing that for a long time, but these A series are starting to fall a little bit behind, to me, the 8 Elite chipset. So I like to see Apple take its thunder back this year with the iPhone 17s as being the powerhouse leaders in the market. Right now, it's still a powerhouse, but it's just not the same speed as the Samsung, which is definitely in the lead. And the Pixel is not even in the conversation here when it comes to performance. While it is a great casual daily use, most people who buy this are not going to complain about performance. If that is your key priority, the Pixel is the slowest phone of the three. That's just the bottom line. It uses Tensor, which is not a Snapdragon CPU. And while it is clocked pretty decent and it is optimized very well, this phone just cannot hold up to those two beyond casual daily use. What that means is that if you start multitasking heavy with this, you shouldn't have no issues because this does have 16 gigabytes of RAM, which Google was smart to put there. But if you start gaming, use this really heavily, you might run into a couple more slowdowns on here than these devices over here. Just something to notate. More so the Samsung. So the Samsung feels much faster than the Pixel. The iPhone and Pixel are pretty close though, overall on just daily operations. They both try to be a little bit more smooth versus this blazing fast feel that I feel on Samsung. Now, when it comes to AI, Apple's out of the discussion here. While they are doing good efforts and bringing some fun AI features, it's in beta still, and it's just not that useful to me at this point. Like, they just have some not super useful AI right now, whereas with these, Gemini is integrated right into the power buttons. And the reason why this is important is because Gemini, while you can use it on iPhone, having it on the power button is great, but you have circle to search on here. Hold on, let me hold that down. You got circle to Google search. And then you have the suite of AI features that come on both of these. So let me go over here. You got the Pixel Studio. Hold up. So you got the Pixel Studio over here. This is something that you have similar on the iPhone, but over here you go into settings and you scroll over, you have a whole Galaxy AI suite with a ton of different options. And they're just amazing. They all work very well. Summaries, you get summaries on iPhone as well. So don't get it twisted. iPhone is not like super way the worst thing out there, but it's just the Gemini and the AI that Google has been investing in is making the Android phones feel ahead. That's just the bottom line. And then Galaxy, as usual, throws in their own suite of Galaxy AI stuff on top of Google stuff. So you get like a extra amount of features. AI wise, if that's your main concern, I'd pick the Samsung, followed very tightly by the Pixel. If you care about it, but you also want a clean experience, the Pixel's right there. And then I wouldn't pick the iPhone right now as my favorite, but if you need a little bit of it and you're banking on Apple's future with Apple Intelligence, then it's still worth getting as well. So all of them are pushing this, but that's how I would pick them in 2025 at this current time as they're recording this video. All right, so let's start out with camera. Now, I'm picking the Samsung for the most versatile setup. It's the one I would go with if all you could do is use a phone for everything for camera, and like this is your only camera for literally video, pro, everything, versatile setup. You're not buying no camera. You don't want no extra gear. This is the one. The Samsung has the most zoom, has the most video features, has 8K video, has amazing photography, amazing macro mode, amazing zoom over up to 100 times, incredibly easy to use one hand. In addition to that, has log recording, which you can edit right there, audio erasing features with Galaxy AI, including dual video recording, portrait modes, food modes, expert raw modes, and then on top of that, they have their own extra camera apps. And you can also access LumaFusion on this phone with the S Pen. You could edit your videos. The front-facing camera is also phenomenal, and you could back that out wide. It also has a lot of great features on the front as well, including UHD 60, which is also on the iPhone, but they brought these controls down smaller. You could double-click to get into the camera right there. This, to me, is the one for the versatility. If this is all you can have in one phone, the camera on the Samsung is built for the long term. The iPhone is probably my second pick if you're doing video. So video, definitely. Also, if you like a camera button, the iPhone is the only choice here. They have the camera control button. And I do like the iPhone for consistency. The video and photos are just so consistent day to day. And it's just a super reliable performer. So this one's not going to let you down either. I would say that the audio performance is a little better on the Samsung though. So if you do rely a lot on external audio, and you don't want to use that no more, you just want to use the phone's audio, I would say the iPhone is a little behind the Samsung here. Pixel is the main pick here for me in 2025 if all you want to do is photography. Like literally that's your main thing. You're like, I'm taking the best photos and I'm not going to have to work on any editing, anything like that. The way it processes the images is just phenomenal. It doesn't need any edits post. And they also have this cool AI Add Me feature where what you can do is you can take a picture of someone, tell them to switch with you, and then they can stitch together these photos to go ahead and help you get that photo in one without needing a tripod. It's a pretty amazing feature on Pixel. So photography is the strong suit here. And while their video performance is not bad at all, you can also do really great video. You're not going to be super behind. It's not the strongest suit for the Pixel for me. That's going to be these two, but the front-facing camera also does superb. And I think one thing you should note is if you're taking a lot of pictures of people and you want great skin tones, I think the Pixel does the best there as well. So versatility king is the Samsung, the photography maestro is the Pixel, and then we do have the iPhone being kind of like the most reliable video performer here of the three, if that makes sense. Battery life, let's be real. I'm just going to tell you which one's the best here. It's the iPhone. The iPhone has the longest battery here of the three, in my experience. Great standby. It just lasts, it lasts, and it lasts. And it's really phenomenal that it can last all day long and go into half of another day. This thing is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite reasons of the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And then the Samsung is not horrible either. This thing is an all-day phone and then maybe a quarter of the day. But I find it not to stay in that 100 to 90 range very long. And sometimes the updates make the battery weaker. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes they do. it doesn't have the best standby. That annoys me. This phone will drain some even when it's in your pocket, even when not in use. So the Samsung, for me, not the worst of the three. It's probably second best in my actual usage to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And some people are going to say, well, I've seen a battery test where the Samsung won. Those battery tests doesn't dictate everyone's usage pattern. My usage pattern, I get longer battery life on the 16 Pro Max. The Pixel is also very good. But the thing is all three of these are just so good in battery life because they're all big phones with big batteries that anyone you get, these are not dying on you in one day. These are heavy user phones, all three of them. So my estimation is this. In 2025, I'm picking the iPhone for the best. Samsung's slightly behind. Pixel in number 3. But definitely, they're all good. But iPhone's great. This is good. And this is a little bit better than average. The Pixel over here. So, good battery life. It's a great year for that. But the funny thing is, it's going to get even better this year. When all the upgrades come, this is one of the primary focuses is battery life. So, if you thought this was good, wait till what you see coming this year. Let's talk about storage. Well, Samsung's going to give you the most deals on storage. They are a company that produces a lot of the storage, memory cards and stuff of that sort, SSDs. So you are going to find the best storage deals. Usually Samsung will throw in the 512 gig for the price of the 256. You don't see that on the iPhone. So Samsung's going to be the king of giving you the best storage. Pixel and iPhone are kind of similar. They're going to charge a lot, but Pixel starts for 128 gigs at a high price. So I don't like that. They need to drop that one on the XL. This is a top of the line phone. We don't need no 128 gig business. I don't want to rely on only Google Cloud storage very quickly. So they need to drop that. So it goes Samsung, iPhone, and then Pixel here. Although 256 gigs, you do pay more on the iPhone. That's one of the reasons why you can get the Pixel cheaper is because of the lower storage. So all of them do have special features like emergency SOS, but the Pixel and the iPhone have better satellite SOS over there. I believe the Samsung has that as well, but it's a little bit harder to use. So overall, they all do have their own special features. Samsung's the only one with a true computer-like experience with Samsung DeX. So if you do want to use this as an all-in-one device, not only is it that for your camera, it can also be that for your computer too. You just need a portable monitor or something like that and just throw on Samsung DeX. You can do USB-C out on the iPhone. So they do have these features, but this one's going to be the best for the special features. Pixel does have its own set of gesture features as well inside settings that you can play around with. So if we go back here and I just type in gestures, they have a few neat things they can do, but you also have a nice set of accessibility features here in the iPhone. But definitely I gotta state that for the most feature set and the special features, it's probably Samsung here of the three. So do keep that in mind. Now, ecosystems wise, I think there's only one winner. We know who it is. The iPhone is still the pick. The Apple Watch is just a great companion. But the real winner to me in the Apple ecosystem lineups is going to be the M4 series computers, including the iPads and the laptops specifically, and their desktops. The M4 chips with the Mac OS is just so blazing fast. It allows me to get my videos out to you much quicker than ever before. The Samsung's experience using Android and then flipping over to Windows and link to Windows, it's just fragmented. I don't like switching software like that all the time. And I'm not like not know how to use it. I know how to use it. I'm just saying it just doesn't seem as clean. I got a Galaxy Book that runs Windows, but my Galaxy phone, while it looks like the Galaxy experience, it runs Android. They're just different software. It's just fragmented. I don't like that. So the Pixel is definitely behind there as well. They don't no longer make the Pixel Book. They should bring that back, the Pixel laptop, but they all do have good watches. Samsung has an Apple Watch looking watch over here with the Galaxy Watch Ultra. Pixel has a Pixel Watch. Pixel has Pixel Buds Pro. They all have good headphone combinations and watch combinations and tablets, although Pixel's not bringing out the Pixel Tablet 2, which is a shame because I really like the first version, but these two are a little bit more average in my opinion. But the Samsung ecosystem is great. It does have the headphones, the laptop, the watch, but the cohesiveness, the similarities amongst the products, the iPhone is just absolute king here still in 2025. iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, and iPhone is they just all feel the same. And that is really easy when you're just trying to go about your daily life and you don't got time to be messing around with different features and stuff of that sort. If you want to put a little effort in, the Samsung one is also very amazing. But the Pixel one I feel like is a little bit behind with their ecosystem of hardware products. When it comes to audio, the Samsung is the loudest phone here. Also has the best signal strength here. And the iPhone is second with the audio to me. Second also with the signal strength, and the Pixel is third in signal strength and audio. In conclusion, if I had to pick one here, currently what pulls me is the Apple ecosystem, specifically the M series MacBook. Not so much the iPhone. Like, I really love the Galaxy S25 Ultra, and I think it's better in certain areas. But when you combine the iPhone with the M4 series Mac and the Apple Watch's smooth experience, the iPhone is still a very big draw, even if it's not better than some of these other phones over here. The Samsung is my favorite recommendation if you need an all-in-one phone that does everything. This thing is absolutely the king in the market when it comes to that. It just does everything. You cannot beat it. Like, the iPhone doesn't really beat the Samsung in any particular area. It's just the best of the best when it comes to all-in-one device. So you are not going wrong here either. And if you just think Samsung and Apple are just, I don't want those, I want something different, and I also want it clean and minimal, I think the Pixel has a very simple, clean Google experience with some of the best AI and the best photography chops out there. So it's a great alternative option to those two over there. So that's how I feel currently this is going to be spring of 2025 between iPhone, Galaxy, Pixel, or Samsung, or Apple, Samsung, and Google phone experience. So thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know if this helped you make a decision on which phone to buy, or if it was just entertaining and informing. Let me know as well down below. And if you want to see more triple comparison videos like this, also let me know. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.